today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and we're going to get started with our mayor today, and then we're going to talk a lot about Horn Pond, which I'm super excited about. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Samantha. Good to be here.
Yeah, we've had a lot going on in the city this week. We've been in the news quite a bit, unfortunately, not always the greatest things. I don't want to ask about the details about the investigation of the police officer because there has been lots of coverage about that, and people can look at the press release and other things that have been out. But I do want to just ask, first of all, if there's anything you want to comment on, and secondly, do we have a sense of how long the investigation might take and when we might expect to have results of that?
Well, it is scheduled for this week, Samantha. We've got it as quickly as we could. So it is scheduled to go on tomorrow. And, there's really no words other than to say we're extremely disturbed about the situation and, really, really disappointed with the officer's behavior. And the other thing is, like, you hate to see it, because we have a great police department, and the officers and the superiors and the chief, they work really hard and they do a lot of great things in the community. And, I just want them to keep their heads up because they do a good job. And, it's very difficult when you have a situation like this. So we're moving forward quickly to handle what we have in front of us. And then we'll move from that point on.
That's great. Thank you for mentioning that. I do think that I think the community appreciates the swiftness by which an investigation is happening to make sure we have all the right facts, and the work the police department is doing to make sure the community feels safe and comfortable turning to them when they need help.
Right.
I know that we had the Monster Dash last weekend, and I think you mentioned you'd be out there cooking burgers and things.
No, that's the Lions Club. They did yeoman's work this weekend. They had a full slate where they were, you had somebody from New Path. I forget, New Path was on. That was a great day on Saturday. My wife and I went up there and did the walk, and they raised over $375,000, which is incredible. They do a walking event, and the students who go there, they actually have a big hand in the raising of money and the board of directors. So it was really that was a very uplifting day, and it's great to see what New Path does for us students who are bridging into adulthood and are, have challenges in their lives that New Path really helps them address. It was a great day, and as I said, the Lions, they were out there cooking burgers, and they did a great job. And then yesterday was the Monster Dash, and again, it was I used to go there more when my kids were younger, and we actually dressed up and had a great time. But it's a really a good community event, and I think there had to have been close to 500 people there just enjoying the pond, enjoying the festivities, and the Lions put on another great show. So kudos to them for a good weekend.
I saw some great pictures of kids I know it's not just kids participate in the Monster Dash, but the pictures I saw were largely children, and it looked like they were having a really good time. And hopefully all slept well that night for the parents.
Yeah, I think so. But look, now we're, like, as we said last week, Samantha, we're in a busy stretch in October, which is really good that people back out. And this week we have the Shred event, which is on Saturday, 9 to 1. People can bring documents that have been building up in their basement. There's no charge. So Saturday, 9 to 1 at City Hall, bring your documents, and we'll take them off your hands and shred them safely. And again, the Halloween parade's the following week. And then we have the grab and go for the seniors the week after that. And I'm sure there's a lot of events in between that I'm missing, but it's a good time for the community.
Yeah, I saw a couple of really what looked like great events the library held recently, and lots of other things that are happening across the city. One thing I do want to mention is the October 26th. I want to make sure I get the time right, at 6:30. Another open space workshop is being held to collect community input. So I want to make sure people are aware of that, and folks who maybe couldn't attend the other sessions hopefully will be able to join this one.
Thanks. That's a good point.
Yeah. Excellent. One last little question for you. We traditionally have had the tree lighting ceremony, like I think it's the weekend after Thanksgiving. I know it feels a little far away, but October is almost, behind us already. So I'm starting to think about that. Will that be happening this year?
Yes, that's usually 3 to 7, and you hit the nail head. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving always, and we're looking forward to that event as well, and that's a good one.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. Well, thanks for joining us, Guy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And we'll keep you
Next,
posted. Hopefully, we'll have more
yeah,
information for you next week on
thank you.
the proceedings with the police department too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Great. Next up, Jim and Jeanne are going to join us. You guys are going to mess me up with these J's. I just want to go on the record right now and tell you there's no hope of me getting this right the entirety of our discussion, but I'm really glad you're here. You're there with the Friends of Horn Pond. Jim, tell us a little bit about the organization and how it differs from Wren and some of the other groups that care deeply about our pond.
Sure. So Samantha, thank you for having us. We really greatly appreciate that. So the Friends of Horn Pond is a relatively new Facebook group. We organized on Facebook in August, but in reality, we've been really planning this out for well over a year. It's founded by myself and my wife Patty and Jeanne, along with a number of our friends who are wildlife photographers, naturalists, birders that visit Horn Pond on a regular basis. And we see a lot of things at Horn Pond. There's the beauty of Horn Pond, and there are things that we see that could use some improvement. And so where we kind of came in was that our mission is to preserve Horn Pond for current and future generations. That's what we really want to do. And it's no different. Wren has the same mission. They want to preserve Horn Pond as well. Our difference is that we're solely focused on the Horn Pond ecosystem. And we're not doing a lot of fundraising outside of the, outside organizations. We're not doing a lot of that. When we start talking a little bit about recycling and fishing line, there's a little bit of recycling in that's interesting. But for the most part, we're really focused on identifying those really difficult issues that are at Horn Pond and putting in sustainable solutions and helping to drive those sustainable solutions. Now we do that through really three main things: highly collaborative environment, community-based, and a really data-driven approach. And so if I sound like I'm coming from my business world, which I come from an engineering background, I'm retired now, that's what it sounds like. Right?
As soon as you said a data-driven approach, that definitely gave your tip away in your engineering background.
You got it right. So that's what it really started out as. And so how are we collaborating with folks? So we're collaborating very closely with Wren, and specifically Rod Flynn has been instrumental in helping us, and we're not focusing on the same things at Horn Pond. So where Wren will do the weekly walk around Horn Pond, we'll branch off and we're going all into the back areas of Horn Pond, all the back trails, all the back ponds. The trash sites that we've been talking about are things that are really difficult to get into. And quite frankly, Rod has said, I can't do it anymore. I can't go in there and do that. So we're picking up the slack. We're kind of a complementary approach, and we're really picking up the slack.
Well, I love that. And I think it's so important. I have lots of people who care about this little gem in our city. Jeanne, tell me a little bit about the Facebook group itself, the things that people can, expect when they come to visit, and who should join it.
Sure. So it really, one of the differences that we want our group to be is to be educational, to promote awareness and learning opportunities about the natural environment within Horn Pond. I think so many people spend time there, but often are on a mission. So they don't slow down enough to really even enjoy the beauty, let alone to know, well, what is happening in the ecosystem. So, our goal is for members to be able to share photos, to share experiences, things that they might have seen at Horn Pond, environmental challenges or concerns that they've noticed, and opportunities for environmental improvement. I'll just give you one example. People raised up some concerns that there were beavers at the pond and the waters were rising, and so just there's been an offshoot side group that's saying, okay, they removed the dam, but is there a way that we can do something else to preserve the beavers there without it causing future concerns? So it's really been amazing to see the collaboration from members within the group and also outside of the group. So those kinds of things coming forward for people who are in the group, really, and with a shared love of wildlife, nature, fishing, photography, walking, taking your pets there. In essence, Samantha, anyone would, qualify or would enjoy being a member of the group because it's got a little bit of a different stance to it. And, we're careful. We promote ethical birding and wildlife guidelines. We stand firm on a couple of things, and that is, no bullying, no blaming, no complaining, no saying, why isn't this city doing this or why isn't someone else doing this? But if you have a suggestion, bring your observations, bring forth suggestions and solutions, and then we work together to collaborate with the appropriate groups to get things done. So, we say come with a spirit of gratitude for the gifts that we've been given with Horn Pond, because it's an amazing place, and be willing to join the group and make a difference. So if you're interested in joining, you can be invited by a current member if you've heard about it, or you can search us on Facebook under the Friends of Horn Pond. And there's 3 simple questions that we ask you. And then, we go forward with accepting you to the group.
Well, I'm so grateful that the group exists. It really is wonderful. And I know myself, I tend to walk the main path, and I honestly forget about, all the amazing other parts of the pond area that exist. I've done a couple of the side paths when it's, sort of snowshoe season, but for the most part, stay in that main area. So I'm so glad that there are people who are being good stewards of that community and reminding us of all the things that are out there. Jeannie, tell us a little bit about, there's a current campaign to help raise awareness and help address fishing line and tackle, right? So things that are left over, left behind, debris from people who are fishing. Fishing is okay. If you have your permit, it's legal. But unfortunately, the things that sometimes we leave behind are dangerous for the animals and pollute the area. Tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do there.
So actually, I'm going to ask Jim to take that one.
Sure, of course.
He's done a tremendous amount of work on that campaign. So I'd prefer if Jim could handle and discuss that.
Absolutely. Jim, you're up.
All right. So I'd love to talk about the awareness campaign for fishing tackle and fishing waste reduction. So really, this is something that we started to identify several years ago, where wildlife entanglement issues and pet entanglements and people getting hurt with there's some safety concern there with monofilament fishing line. We started to identify that. We started to see an uptick in this. Now, I will say this is not solely a Woburn or a Horn Pond problem. This is a statewide problem, a nationwide problem, and it's been going on for a long time, many years. When Jeannie and I and the Intrepid Keystone Club from the Boys and Girls Club at Woburn went to the Conservation Commission in the beginning of September, we had a proposal for them to embark on a campaign awareness to reduce monofilament fishing line waste, and also tackle waste, whether it be lead waste, metal waste, hooks, lures, any of that. And so we pitched that to them, but the cornerstone of it was the community awareness campaign, because no matter what you do, you can set up recycling bins or containers, canisters, which we're proposing, but without the community awareness piece of it, it really will fall short. So we embarked on this campaign, and we've put flyers together. We've got them, the conservation commissioners have put them out on the bulletin boards at Horn Pond, both in 3 areas, right? The 2 at the Horn Pond and the 1 in the community garden. But we've also sent them out to other organizations as well. So the Scout Troop 502 had a fishing derby back a couple of weeks ago, and I went down and I met with those folks and the leaders, and they've got our flyers now, and they've sent them all out to everyone in the Scout Troop. So we're starting to get that awareness out there, and to engage with other groups that can really drive the message home. Now, is the work done? Absolutely not. It'll never be done. And really, the whole idea is to build community awareness for different types of issues. So right now we're squarely focused on monofilament fishing line reduction, reducing entanglements of wildlife. We're strongly focused on that. But going forward, there's a number of different issues that we're going to drive community awareness on, everywhere from the impacts of feeding waterfowl to the impacts of nesting owl seasons and those sorts of things. So it's a long range program that we want to be in front of, and we want to be able to drive this forward with the community.
I think it's so important, and there's so many birds and wildlife that live there. I think some of us, there's some of it that's very common, well known, and some of it we rarely see. But there's a lot teeming going on there. I've always been really curious, and I'm not sure which of you might be better able to answer. So I'll leave it to you to discretion. But I should know the answer to this. But do swans migrate? What happens to them in the winter?
I'll take that. Swans, actually, the ones that we have at Horn Pond are mute swans. And so they tend to stay local as long as they can find areas of the water that are still moving, that aren't frozen over. So the swans, as I mentioned, that we have our mute swans, and there are a number of visiting mute swans that will travel through Horn Pond. But for the most part, we have a resident pair that are the permanent residents, and they are extremely territorial. So sometimes you'll see, some territory battles going on over the pond, and especially around the time of nesting, and you'll see some conflicts sometimes when other swans try to come and encroach upon the site where our resident swans are living. There's nothing more beautiful when you're walking the pond. When you hear those swans flying through the air, you can just hear their wings. They're very distinctive. And that's really the reason that we selected the swan to be the emblem of Friends of Horn Pond, because no matter, any season of the year, you're sure to see a swan present at Horn Pond. You can even see them when you're driving by. So we felt like that was a really recognizable wildlife for people who, really appreciate Horn Pond. And that's why we chose it to be our emblem.
I love it. They are beautiful creatures and lovely to watch. And we're fortunate to see whole families sometimes and such, which is really great. When is the next planned cleanup or walk, or do you have a regular schedule? So for those folks who really want to take to heart and go in there and clean up some of those off beaten path areas that are really struggling and need some, messy hands and feet and willing to get a little bit dirty, how can they participate?
So it's easy to participate, and so there's two things. So we're partnering, of course, with Run on their weekly walks. So I have events created on our page for that, so that members who want to join up and do that walk around the pond can do that. If you want to veer off and go to the back trails as part of that, you can do that too. What we're doing is we're cataloging everything that we're picking up, photographing it, and so that we have it as a record, because there's nothing more. Again, it's a data-driven approach. Now, going into the back areas, so there is one site out in the back at the head of Fowl Brook, right by the double bridges, that is a major trash site. It's a trash collection site. We had an event planned for October 15th. But with the heavy rain and the Beaver Dam being opened, the water came in and raised the water level about 3 feet. So we had to postpone that. Now I had that all set up. Rod Flynn had sent it out to the whole Wren group. We had it all out there. We had a lot of people who were going to join up and do that. But we had to postpone it. Now, so what we're going to do is, right now there's 3 of us, myself, Brian Poole, Roberta D'Souza. We're going in and assessing that area. Once we get that assessment made, we're going to do that this week. We're going to put a schedule together for how we're going to clean that up. Now, I'm hoping that we can do it by the end of the month. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to, but once we do that, we'll put an event in place. We'll get it out to Wren, so we get a large group of people, and anyone can join. So you'll be seeing it. It'll be coming. Right now, We don't,
Perfect.
right now, it's not set in stone to when we're gonna do it, but that's typically
think
how we've
that's-
been doing it.
I think that's great. Do we have a sense of why that particular area is a trash collection? Is it because it's near the bridge, or is it water runoff that's bringing stuff, or what do we think is contributing to that spot being particularly bad?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and we've actually had a lot of discussions about that, and I've had a lot of discussions about with Rod Flynn about this as well. So so what happens down here is that you have two brooks that feed into Foul Brook, right? You have Cummings Brook and you have Shaker Glen Brook, and they both come out from the neighborhoods. And there's a lot of trash that collects up on the roadways that finds its way down into both brooks and just slowly starts to make its way down. So it will collect up in areas that are a little higher than others in the brook. So with the drought this year, what happened was this material all flowed down. It went into some of the back ponds, but it flowed down into Foul Brook, got into a high section, and just stayed there. Now it was so overgrown that we couldn't get a team down there to get it out. Now the fall came along and we were able to do it, but then we had the rain. So that's what's going on. So it hits the high spots and stays in place.
Yeah,
Again,
thank you for that explanation. I think that's really helpful. Thank you both for joining me. I'm so excited. I really encourage people to join Friends of Horn Pond. You'll be able to see lots of updates about ways we can help take care of this gem in our community, but also you'll see beautiful pictures and get to share a lot of love for this wonderful nature we have right in the heart of our city. So Woburn, please continue to take good care of Horn Pond. And as always, continue to take good care of each other.